viewers. Today we have with us Kristy Sellars. She is the winner of Australia's Got Talent 2019 edition. She's a fantastic dancer, a mother, and a speaker. And I am absolutely delighted to have you to my show, Kristy Talk with Tanya. Welcome.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
It's a pleasure. So, Christy, I was watching your performance. Sorry, I've not seen the show, but I saw your performance much later on YouTube, and I have to tell you, you blow my mind. it was it was out of the world. And anybody who's watching this, please YouTube her performance if you want to get blown away immediately. So, where do you get so much flexibility from? On a lighter note to begin with.
Uh, well, firstly, I'm glad you enjoyed the performances. Was there one that you watched, or did you watch all of them?
I just saw yours.
The three? I did three.
Okay, no,
Three
no,
on the
I
show.
saw, I saw, I saw the grand finale one.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so there are another two. So there's my audition piece, which is about like a clock routine, about falling into a clock. And then the second one, which is the semi-final, is like in a painting. So yeah, flexibility. I actually am not naturally flexible. When I was in high school, I remember I auditioned for the aerobics team, and you had to be able to have like a 90-degree middle split. So you had to be able to split your legs out, but be 90 degrees. And I only just made the cut. Like my flexibility was so bad, I could only just do it. So a couple of years later, like I really started to work on my flexibility, and I practiced it every day, and I really trained hard to get more flexible. So it's not something natural for me, but I do work really hard at it.
Glad you work because I can't even touch my toes and I'm not even working hard towards it.
Every day when you wake up, just reach down and stretch.
Yeah, so you said that you didn't find your place in the dance industry very early. Is that true? And why would you say that?
That I didn't find my place early. Yeah. So I wasn't put into dance classes at a really young age, like a lot of girls are. Um, my mum did let me do some tap dancing when I was about 8 years old for about a week, but I lost interest because she wouldn't buy me the tap shoes until I committed properly, and I had to wear these silly little jiffy things, which were just like plastic shoes, and that was about the extent of my young dance career. But movement was always something that interested me, and I always enjoyed watching like music videos on TV and things like that. So when I had the opportunities at school, especially, I always joined up to like the aerobics team and things like that. And then I started probably when I was about 14, doing like hip hop classes after school. And I really enjoyed that, which kind of led me to starting a little cheerleading squad for my high school. So I was doing that, and it was always kind of there, like the choreography and the dance, but I never really, I think I was about 16 or 17 when I realized like this is what I want to do.
So that was pretty early on, and I'm sure it takes many, many years to also hone that craft to be able to be as good as you are. So, how did pole dancing come about being? When did you get introduced to that, and when did you start? Why did you choose that as a form of dance you'd like to master in?
Yeah, so when I was 16, I was about to go into year 11 and 12, which over here is like the last 2 years of schooling. But everything that I was trying to choose for my subjects was basically related to dance. And so my parents were like, well, if you're going to be choosing these subjects anyway, why don't you just go to a proper dance school and get like a diploma or like a higher degree in dancing? So I did that instead of the year 11 and 12, which was amazing. So I was dancing all day, every day, all different styles. So I did like ballet, jazz, hip hop, contemporary, tap, musical theatre, Indian, Bollywood, belly dancing, like everything, which was really great, gave me a really good wide vocabulary of dance. And so hip hop was always kind of my love, and I decided that I wanted to go to Hollywood and try to dance over there. So once I finished my 2 years of dance training, I went to Hollywood, and that was an eye opener. So that was certainly an experience. But I was always open to adding new styles to my resume because I thought it just made me really well rounded. And so when I got back, I saw that pole dancing was being advertised in one of the newspapers or something. So this was about 14 years ago now. So I've been doing it for about 14 years. And I just started it because I thought, oh, yeah, that's another style to add to my resume. But then I fell in love with it. And then I just started doing that and nothing else. So, yeah, became addicted quickly.
Glad. So I think you tried everything, and then you found your calling or the dance form that you resonate with the most, and then you just went ahead with that. That's great.
Yeah.
I think pole dancing found you, I'd say.
Yeah, I really like 14 years ago, there weren't a whole lot of styles of pole, but coming from the background that I did, I kind of looked at it as like a really great opportunity to combine these other styles that I had under my belt, in my experience with the pole in a way that I hadn't seen before. So that's kind of what really attracted me to it. I was like, oh my God, the possibilities are endless.
Great. So, what was that moment, if you can recall that, when you decided to go for the auditions for Australia's Got Talent? How did you muster courage to do that? And how did you feel with that winning moment in your journey in participating in that show?
Yeah. So, okay. So, for the audition part of it, I had just had my third baby, and he was about 2 or 3 weeks old. And I've always been very like goal orientated. So, I need to set something in front of myself so that I will work towards it. And I knew that I needed a goal, especially after having my third baby, that would be something, that I could focus on. Because being a mother, it's easy to kind of lose yourself in motherhood and feel a bit like you've got no identity anymore except for mother. So it was always important to me to have something myself that I could work on, and also to kind of get back in shape and get my body working again in the way that I was used to using it. So I saw the auditions just pop up on my Facebook newsfeed, and I didn't even really think about it. I was like, yep, I'll send an audition. Like, I didn't even think about it. I was just like, I'm just going to do it. And I called the guy that did the visuals. His name's Ryan. He's actually based in the United States. And I called him and I just said, just so you know, I've put this audition in because we had spoken about maybe doing either like America's Got Talent a few years earlier or just one of the shows. And this just kind of came about. And I said, look, I don't even know if anything will come out of it, but I've put the audition in. So that was literally the extent of it. I didn't even sit down and think about it too hard. I just did it. And then the winning moment. So, what most people don't realize is that because it's a TV show, they actually pre film all of the possible winners. So, out of the top four that were the top four, all of us had to film like a pretend winning.
Oh,
And that was really awkward for me. So, the way that you see it wasn't really an actual reaction. All I knew at the time was that I might have a chance of winning, but it's very hard to fake that reaction. So I was actually at home watching the show on TV, because what they do is they wait for all the votes to come in and then they tally them up in that short amount of time, and then they slot in the winner to that point of the show. So they slot in the winner like in real time. So I was at home with my family when I heard the announcement as well, and I was like so quiet, and then I was like, oh my God. Crazy.
Oh, so that's a good revelation that you see yourself giving a speech that you've probably given, preempting your victory. But I think that just makes it very inauthentic, as a moment, because I think
Yeah.
that is a very, very special moment. But I'm sure you enjoyed it as much sitting with your family as much as you would have had on stage and really watching yourself on TV.
Yeah, well, I did go on Facebook. I did a live like within a couple of minutes, and I was just like, "Oh my God!" Like I was running around screaming, which I mean, I completely understand because with TV, that's very common that they will film that because otherwise they've got to fly everybody back in and re-film and book the studio and all of that. So it is very common, but for me, I just couldn't do a fake like, "Oh my God, I won." I was just kind of really awkward on the show, but then in real life I was just ecstatic and I was so grateful, like just to everybody who voted and the support and everything, especially from your country actually. Like not necessarily, I know you couldn't vote if you were in different countries, but I got a lot of messages from people in India just congratulating me and saying how much they enjoyed it.
Wow, I think that's the beauty of internet and globalization. I think borders no longer separate us, and
Mm.
I'm sure you do have a lot of fans in India. So, was your family always supportive? It does seem from your conversations that they always were, but were they ever apprehensive? Did they want to give? Did they want you to go into academia and not take up dancing? Because this is a problem in India. Not too
Oh.
many families are supportive. People are always just encouraging their kids to go into academia and not really freely pursue their passion, and because I think there are also limited opportunities that dancers have here in India.
Um, yeah, so that's a really interesting point because I would say that the dance opportunities in Australia are also quite limited. Like when I was going through the training, doing my full-time course, I knew that there weren't that many opportunities. Like you could maybe get a cruise ship or a musical or something like that, but it wasn't like it is in the States. To answer your question, my family were always supportive. I was actually quite lucky, but I've always just sort of been the type of person that's very driven. So if I want to do something, I'm very focused on it, and people will either support me or I'm not listening to them if they're not supporting me. So they've only really got one option. But luckily, my family was very supportive. But I would say to people in your country, like even though there are limited opportunities, like if you look at what I did with my passion being dance, I took that and I just did what I loved, and from that I was able to create a business, and that wouldn't have happened if I didn't just pursue that love and the obsession that I had, because from that, I started my first studio. And then from the first studio, a few years later, I turned it into a franchise. And now there are 17 Physi studios. So my franchise has 17 locations in 5 states in Australia, which is quite a big business achievement, not just on the creative side, but on the business side of things. That's quite a large achievement as well. So I don't think that just because you like something creative that's not an academic field, I certainly think that creativity and business go hand in hand. And if you are truly passionate and truly obsessed with something, that failure is not an option. So you will make it work either way.
That's wonderful, Christy. It's not very easy to have immense amount of belief in yourself and such an unfettering faith. But I'm so glad to hear from you that how confident you are about your own abilities and your ability to succeed in life, and treating failure is not an option. That's absolutely beautiful, and it completely explains how you won it, because till you don't believe in
Mm.
yourself, others definitely can't see through that. So you've been a dancer, you've had your entrepreneurial journey, you're a mother of three beautiful kids. What next? What are your future plans?
That's a good question. So 12 months ago, my partner and I launched our first e-commerce business, which is really exciting. It's a grip product used for pole dancing, but also in the gym and rock climbing and stuff like that. So it's like a liquid chalk on your hands. So that's been a really, really great journey. And I've just released or just announced a clothing line that's going to come out along with that store. But in terms of my own performing, like with COVID, things have been, events and things have been cancelled. But probably in the last couple of weeks, I've started getting a lot of emails again about booking future shows. So some of them are in Australia, some of them are overseas. I did perform because between when I won and COVID, it was only about 3 or 4 months. So I didn't really have the chance to. I went to Italy to perform. I did some shows in Australia, but I didn't really get the chance to be out and performing that much, which is fine, and I'm grateful for the way that things turned out anyway, because I got to spend that time with my family, and my kids are still really young. But I think as the restrictions lift and I can get back into performing, I'm really looking forward to that journey. And I may, I think I still need to create some ideas that I have in my head. It's kind of like a little, it's like a little thing on my shoulder going, hey, we need to make this show, we need to make it come to life. So that is still there, and it won't leave me alone until I create it.
I'm sure there's miles to go for you. And my final question to you is that what message do you have for our viewers and probably people who really love dancing? How would you like to propagate pole dancing? Because it's still comparatively a lesser popular form of dancing as compared to, maybe a hip hop or a contemporary or other forms that we see more often. So, what do you have to say?
I think that eventually, if it's not already, eventually pole in India will be more mainstream. I think as people see the potential and the possibilities creatively with it, because it's just like any other style of dance. Like, you can be sexy when you dance jazz, or you can be very technical and sporty when you dance jazz. Like, it's the exact same thing. So it's whatever you make of it. It's literally a vertical piece of steel. So it is what you make of it. If you love it, if you love dance, if you love a particular anything that you want to do in your life, if you are passionate enough and obsessed enough, and like I said, if failure is not an option, and failure is only when you give up. So if you don't ever give up, then you don't ever fail. And if you do, then it's just a learning opportunity to help you progress to the next thing. But I think you just need to be true to yourself. If you love doing that, then why are you letting other people's opinions affect your happiness? So just go for it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much for leaving us with that message, Kristy. You're one hell of an inspiration. You're a champion, and you've probably given me my dose of morning motivation. So it's been an absolute pleasure to have a chat with you and to speak to you. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much for having me and inviting me. I'm truly honored. So thank you and your listeners. That's yeah, hopefully I'll get to speak to you again.
Most definitely. If you like this video, then don't forget to hit the subscribe button. And if you want me to continue doing such videos, then don't forget to also like and comment on this video to show some love. Thank you so much for watching my videos. Shukriya.